Dear brothers, good morning, fellas. So, today I want to present something exciting to all of you listening, specifically because this group of men has been a part of my life now since the beginning of this year. Today's episode 148, which is hard to imagine. And it's been such a blessing to do this every morning. It has impacted my life in more ways than all of you will ever know. Just a couple of days ago, I had a couple of men reach out who I didn't even know listened to this podcast and just had nice things to say and were being blessed by it. And that is ultimately my goal, is to continue to forge together appropriate and good manhood, and to kind of reach our masculine mandate, as I've talked about in the past from Richard Phillips' book. But it's to grow as men together. It's a community. And so, in light of that, I have obviously been doing this podcast and working on other avenues in my own business. But it has come to pass that I need and have been put on my heart to do a little bit more. And this has been mulling for a few months now. I've talked to some of my buddies about it. But officially, I've started working on a book. And it's going to be a holy triumvirate, if you will, of what being a good man looks like physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And it's funny to kind of say it out loud to myself, although I've gone through this all already and what have you. But the first question that comes to mind is, what makes me think that I know anything about being a good man, physically, spiritually, and emotionally? And I have actually come to believe wholeheartedly that those kind of messages are from the enemy always. One of the things that I have found is that God made us all worthy when we came into the world. And the beauty in that is when we do things that are difficult, when we do things that we feel called to do, when we work hard at things, the goodness that comes out of that comes from Him. And so the question I've stopped asking myself is, what makes me think I'm qualified to do this? I'm not qualified to do this. But divinity is qualified to do it. God is qualified to make those messages. I just so happen to be a vessel that tries to put them out into the world to the best of my ability. And when you take that pride out of it, when you take that I out of it, where you're doing everything for yourself, which is impossible as humans in some capacity. As all men, we know we have some form of ego that exists, and that's a normal part of being a human. It's not supposed to be some easy thing. But knowing that anything I put forth, that I put effort into, that I remain pious with, will find its mark in the way that it's supposed to. My job is just to work. And so that's what I'm doing. So the book is called The Heroic Man, as I've talked about on here many times. And I'm going to go through the physical aspects of being a heroic man, the emotional aspects of being that heroic man, and the spiritual aspects, what it means to have a real relationship with God. And ideally, I'm going to make this more of a carry around with you style book, similar to Man's Search for Meaning, similar to As a Man Thinketh, How to Live on 24 Hours a Day, The Enchiridion, I want it to be something that you can grab, look through, similar to meditations, that you can grab, read, gain some knowledge out of, and go. But it's also going to have some statistics in there. We're going to talk about the plights that men are facing. We're going to talk about the issues that we're seeing with young men around obesity, suicide. There's going to be real hard data that we take a look at. There's going to be real discussions on what manliness actually is, the biblical version of manliness, not this faux chauvinistic or effeminate version that we carry around today. But it's going to be a deep dive into those things with stories of my own life, stories of others. But my goal is that this book will bring more men towards the appropriate world of manliness. More men will join this brotherhood that we're creating, even if it may feel small now, that will go and build a better world for our kids and their kids and the kids after them. Because in my opinion, that's what we're called to do. And so my prayer every day has been, what can I do to bolster this? What can I do to bring this forward? And the answer keeps coming down to this book. And so the beauty of this is I have always wanted to write a book. I've written about, 2 or 3 different manuscripts of various things that I just stopped doing because of procrastination. And I felt like they weren't right. I felt like I wasn't worthy of writing them. There was a lot of things that went into that, but this has been a very different process. So one of the things that I'm going to do for everyone that's listening is I want to share parts of this book as I start writing it. So my plan is to have either a newsletter or I'm going to have a place specifically on my website where you can go and it'll have a password that you can click in and you'll be able to read some bits and parts of the book as I start putting it together, because I would love some feedback from others. Like I said, to call myself qualified to write a book on the ultimate manliness is funny at best, considering many of the men listening to this are far beyond me in that capacity. And knowing that and trying to maintain some level of humility in that, getting feedback from others is of great benefit. And I want you guys to be involved in this because it's important that the world gets a taste of this and gets something better. And I know the men listening to this are great examples of what that means. And so I'll work that out over the next couple of weeks as I continue to sit down and write. I don't have a timetable on this. I'm basically just writing every day, researching every day for a certain period of time, and I'll continue to write. I finished the first draft of the prologue the other day, which was great. But as I start getting things down onto paper, I'll get you guys set up with a way to follow through, and I can send you bits and pieces of it as we start working on it together in a way. But I'm very excited about this. I feel very at peace about it. I'm grateful for the push, if you will, to do it, which is what I've been given by many people. And I'll continue to pray about that. But I know that today's episode was not the most exciting thing we've ever done. However, it's important to me to talk to you guys about this stuff because you guys are my digital brothers, if you will, but brothers nonetheless. I think anyone who is working towards excellence in their life as a man is a part of a very special group of men, and we need that group to grow. And so I want this book to be a way that we can spread it to even more men and more people, and hopefully together we can all further our cause and bring more men into the fold that can be that heroic man for their children, for their spouse, for their families, for their friends, for their communities. And when that happens, then we can see some actual real change in the world. And so I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you guys so much for being avid listeners and your feedback and your love. It has pushed me to places I never thought I would go. And I'm just so eternally grateful for that. Again, I'll let you guys know when I get some things set up so that we can get the bits and pieces of the book that I'm going to send out to you guys done. And that will be that. We'll be back to our regular programming here tomorrow, but it was important to me that I talked about that today, and it's been on my heart, and I'm stoked about it. I can't wait. So I'll keep pushing on that. I'll send it out to you guys as time goes on. Again, thank you so much, fellas. I can't tell you how grateful and blessed I am to be able to do this in the mornings and to have people that actually listen to it and find it helpful. It's just proof to me that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and that we are growing as a group of men. I love you all. God bless. Be strong. Let's get after it today. That's it. We'll see you guys.